Paralogue 5 is what I would consider on a normal playthrough one of the more stressful paralogues of the game. This is the first, or second if you want to count Mozu, paralogue that is shared across all 3 routes of the game. All of these shared paralogues have one thing in common, which is having a whole bunch of enemies that are way ahead of the level curve. In this map's case, we're dealing with paladins, berserkers, wyvern lords, a general, and more. Our new recruit doesn't do us that many favors either. Sophie starts at the very top right of the map, and will fight the enemies all on her lonesome if not recruited by Silas quickly. The problem with that is that on the opposite side of the map, there are 6 villagers that you have to protect until they escape. Their escape point is directly behind the boss, who also happens to be our 3rd capturable one. This means the villagers will be rushing into the enemy forces and not away from them. This requires a pretty demanding army split, having both teams in our army charge headfirst into one of the most fun escort missions in the entire Fire Emblem series, at least to me. Before starting, I'm going to be promoting Kagero into a Master Ninja. While stats are a nice perk to why she's being promoted, the real reason as to why she gets the Master Seal is so she's able to use swords. Now I can finally stop worrying about outlaws fighting her. I'm also going to promote her future husband, Takumi. This one is for a more linear reason than Kagero's. It's simply his time to promote. I could squeeze out an extra 51 experience to get him to level 20, but keeping his internal level lower is just as good, if not better, than trying to get a small amount of extra stats in. Also, I never recommend putting Takumi in Kenshi Knight in Birthright. The Fujin Yumi lets him do a lot of what a flyer can do while not being weak to bows, and gets way better skills from Sniper. In Revelation, I do think Kenshi is better, but only if you aren't trying to play too hard into Takumi's strengths. The first order of business is to reach Sophie. That means getting through a giant clump of cavaliers, fighters, an outlaw, a dark mage, and an elbow room paladin. The paladin has a javelin, so what I do first is put Subaki at the edge of its range to force it into using its worst weapon. Backing Subaki is Hinoka, who's holding the beast killer. This outlaw is able to attack Subaki for effective damage if he stays alive. Asugi goes right above Silas to get his first kill of the entire playthrough, though technically it's his 3rd kill.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Silas now uses his power of flight to go right below Hinoka, making sure to equip his bow so he does lethal damage to the mage. This will cause the mage to want to attack Asugi on enemy phase, since Asugi can't do lethal damage even with his soon-to-be dual strike partner, Jakob. Here I would heal Asugi if he had gotten hit by the outlaw.
Be steadfast.
The Dark Mage also won't target Jakob because he has Tomebreaker and thus has more hit on Asugi. It will always prefer to attack from the woods, so we're safe letting this mage survive.
We're not alone.
Kagero picks off the fighter that Corrin weakened.
This is nothing.
By using Shove on Corrin, he's able to lure both the fighter and the southernmost cavalier towards him, as he'll be their only valid target. This removes any randomness on which of the 2 cavaliers will dual strike with the paladin, and making all but one of the enemy movements 100% reliable. The unreliable one is the fighter. He can attack Corrin from either the north or the west. That's easily fixable though.
Be careful. We're under attack. I can help. Let's go. I'll show you.
The fix is the knowledge that the fighter will always be exactly 2 spaces away from Kagero, and the Cavalier is always exactly 2 spaces away from Corrin. This allows Kagero to always kill the fighter without having to move at all.
I apologize.
Before dealing with the Cavalier, I want Corrin to move, and before that, I also want him to get healed by Jakob, and before that, I need to have Jakob clean up the Dark Mage that was left over from last turn. Now Azura can sing to Jakob to let him heal.
You have my support. We've got this.
Now that Corrin's out of the way, Takumi can go to where Corrin was standing and finish off the Cavalier.
I am prepared.
Everyone else down here continues making their way towards the bridge. Over in Flyer Land, Subaki and Hinoka are going to target the weaker Cavalier on this player phase. Since Hinoka has the Beast Killer, Subaki doesn't have to attack, and would use this time to heal himself if he got hit by both attacks on enemy phase. Since he didn't, I'm gonna have him go for the extra experience instead, since Camaraderie will get him back to full HP soon.
Let's have at it.
I can do this.
Not strong enough. No need to worry.
Silas recruits Sophie on the second turn. I'll quickly say that it's going to be awesome having a Sophie with both Quick Draw and Aptitude boosted stats. Her player phase damage output is going to be terrifying.
Sophie.
I'll do my best.
Silas pairs up with Sophie, and Sophie goes under Hinoka to take the Beast Killer. Then, Silas drops her to the right. And lastly, Asugi kills the Paladin.
I'll try not to get in your way.
Hinoka moves 3 spaces away from the fighter across the water, and Subaki will kill it. This is to keep the enemy phase safe for my units at the bridge.
Stay focused.
Of course.
Silas shell through Subaki to get him outside of the Outlaw's range. Obviously, they cannot continue to stay like this on this phase, but we'll fix that problem at a later point. Asugi and Sophie start heading towards the north side of the path to clear the area before the villagers can get over there. Corrin and Jakob block the bridge to prevent any enemies from attacking the villagers. Corrin is in front of Jakob and holding the Kodachi since he takes less damage, has more avoid thanks to Evasive Partner, as well as not being able to kill the enemies on the counterattack, and blocking the bridge even further. This causes some of the villagers to go the long way around, and impressively is consistent. I now need Azura to go over to Silas. To do so, Azura pairs up with Kagero, then Kagero transfers her to Rinkah, who can reach Silas. By putting Silas at the rightmost tile that the Cavalier can attack on, it will always force it to attack from their left. Interestingly, despite it being able to dual strike with the Cavalier, the Paladin chooses not to move at all on the upcoming enemy phase, which makes this next phase a hell of a lot easier than it would be if it did move.
You're not alone. I've got you.
Please remain calm.
Whoa. This will be enjoyable. Rest.
Corrin is safe even if he gets hit by everything here. 12 plus 13 plus 6 is 31.
One more.
This troubadour will always heal from above. Jakob is gonna take 2 actions this turn. The first action is spent killing the fighter from last turn, and then Azura will sing to him to let him heal Corrin.
I'm afraid this will be messy.
To make an open space for Azura, Kaden goes above Corrin to kill the Dark Mage. Since he promoted early, he actually gets a pretty good amount of experience here.
This is too much fun!
Orochi is now free to move above Kaden and take a shot at the Berserker. Unfortunately, the Berserker is stuck on a fort, so hit rates are going to be a little inaccurate here. Takumi uses the power of the Fujin Yumi to cross the water and kill the Berserker. It's arguably better to feed the kill to Orochi here, but that would make me have to rely on Kaden and Orochi to actually hit. If either Orochi or Kaden missed, all Takumi would have to do is kill with the Fujin Yumi and not the Brass Yumi. There are still 2 more enemies that are able to move to my units on enemy phase. That's not something I'm able to survive, so I need to have Corrin go up there and kill one of them. Before that, I have Azura get traded back to Kagero so she can reach Jakob, who will heal Corrin back to full health. Corrin won't survive the upcoming enemy phase if he doesn't get healed here.
Rely on me. You'll be all right. Yes, I did it right.
Hinoka helps pull Kagero out of her pair-up, allowing her to be able to take an action on the next turn. On the other side, I want to kill both enemies that are close to Silas and Subaki, while also luring the strategist on the other side of the bridge. The first step to getting that done is to kill the troubadour with Sophie.
Please, accept my help.
Nice!
I want to kill the Cavalier with Asugi. To do that cleanly, I need to use Sophie's Dual Strike, but I also don't want to attack adjacent to the Cavalier. So I'll have to find a way to move Sophie down 1 space while still being able to lure the strategist. Luckily, with Shelter, I can do that. Silas goes to Sophie's right and uses Shelter, which puts her in a pair-up. Then, Subaki can go to where Sophie was, transfer her over to him, then drop her adjacent to the Cavalier, letting Asugi cleanly kill it.
Sugar rush. Yeah.
The reason why I could get away with Corrin going deep into enemy lines is because this Dark Mage prefers to attack Takumi thanks to the combination of HP, resistance, and the weapon triangle. If Subaki had gotten hit by both enemies on turn 1 and never healed himself with the Vulnerary, he would die here. Team Silas, named for simplicity, immediately gets to work on the enemies they lured over, allowing Asugi and Sophie to take the promoted ones. The strategist is no issue at all.
Victory is sweet.
Here we get to see a small taste of Sophie's power. Thanks to Quick Draw and Elbow Room giving her a +7 damage stack in her base skill set, she's able to completely one-shot the Paladin with perfect accuracy using the Beast Killer without any outside assistance.
Well, what?
Please, accept my help. I won't fail again.
Subaki flies ahead to a safe zone to set up for a small trade sequence next turn. Now we can focus on Team Corrin. I don't want to deal with this Paladin at the bridge in the slightest. It's a good thing I don't have to. Kagero can now weaken the general with her Sting Shuriken. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm so glad this came free of charge. Takumi is blessed in 4 stats. This guy is insane. Orochi kills the general that Kagero just fought. The hit rates suck here. In hindsight, it might have been a good idea to sell the Snake Spirit from Chapter 11 so I could buy the Calamity Gate for this map. This blunder is Conquest's fault. Hinoka cleans up the final enemy in this middle island with much more favorable hit rates.
On my way. A good effort.
Stiff upper lip.
I want to have Jakob heal Corrin again on this turn. To do that, he needs to get refreshed from Azura. In the process of this, Rinkah pairs up with Azura so she can catch up with the rest of the group, and gets transferred to Orochi to be unpaired in a better spot.
Allow me to join you.
After Jakob heals Corrin, Corrin blocks the second bridge with a very similar setup to the one we used in the southern bridge. Corrin on the bridge blocking the choke point, and Jakob behind him providing his personal skill. Kaden unpairs Rinkah and Orochi. Sophie heads above Subaki to trade him the Beast Killer, as she'll no longer need it for the rest of this Paralogue. It'll be much more useful if it goes south, where the rest of the mounted units are. Silas brings Asugi closer to Sophie.
Careful out there.
Rinkah kills one of the Cavaliers on the bridge. She'll be grinded all the way up to level 5 on this map, and we're slowly running out of enemies to do that with.
Let me get a shot at it.
Huh? I'm impressed.
Subaki flies adjacent to Rinkah and waits. This puts him 2 spaces away from the other Cavalier, who Hinoka will kill after she takes the Beast Killer from Subaki.
All right.
Shall we?
After making Corrin equip a stronger weapon, Orochi kills the Troubadour with exact damage.
I'll protect you. This is my turn.
How impressive.
Kaden heads forward to kill the outlaw from above. In my planning for strategies, I always try to make sure that every single one of Kaden's battles either result in the enemy dying or can't die even with a crit. That way, I don't have to worry about Ninetales' massive crit chance. On a side note, Kaden just got his first level up, and it does not disappoint. I spend the next few actions doing healing and singing while shuffling around some units.
You have my support. Oh, we've got this.
Well, how irksome.
Takumi moves above Kaden to kill the fighter. This kill actually isn't about what I mentioned earlier. Kaden will kill this fighter as long as he has a dual strike partner no matter what. But the big thing is that I don't want Kaden to accidentally take damage from this fighter.
That went well.
Asugi pairs up with Silas again to head next to the fighter for Sophie to kill. Before Sophie can kill, the fighter needs to be weakened by Subaki, since Sophie and Asugi don't do enough combined damage on their own.
I'll do my best.
I'm the Colonel to your chocolate.
I did it! I did it!
Oh no. Jakob heads back to weaken the Dark Mage who spawned on the fort. Azura follows up to get herself a kill on this map.
Is there a plan?
Thank you.
For the Outlaw, I have Orochi and Kagero weaken it for Rinkah to kill.
Fun.
Very conveniently, their attacks combined do exactly enough to leave it on 1 HP for Rinkah. This is also why I promoted Kagero, since I was so sick of her fighting at weapon triangle disadvantage constantly, especially when the enemy's on a fort.
I'll back you up. More fuel for the fire.
The rest of my units head north to set up for blocking Nicole's attack range.
Let's go.
As I'm spending the next couple turns with everyone in a square, you're probably wondering why I don't just kill the boss now.
This is gonna hurt.
Every enemy on the map has been dealt with, all before the villagers could even reach the boss. Well, there's a few reasons for that. The first is, of course, I want to be able to capture Nicole. Unlike the other capturables that I've gotten just for fun, Nicole has the potential to be a genuinely good unit. He starts with capped weapon ranks and is in an extremely rare class for this route that can use both axes and tomes. He also has access to lunge, and if he levels up, savage blow.
We got
If there's ever an opportunity to bring one of the units that aren't required for this challenge's completion, he would be my first pick.
on guard.
Another reason as to why I'm stalling is because this map has a lot of reinforcements still. You'll find that this will be a trend with these shared paralogs, as a good chunk of them serve the same purpose of being really good at experience grinding maps. The biggest goal for this map, as mentioned before, is to get Rinkah to level 5 to get Salvage Blow, to pass on to Midori. Does this mean that this is her last map? It's likely, but once I get towards the end of the challenge, where all my units are married and I'm free to do whatever, she might get her chance in the spotlight again. I don't think this Rinkah is particularly good, especially since you promoted early, but I think she had a lot of utility in this run with the shove command. I've even been considering rerouting my class changes to have Midori learn shove in Rinkah's place, though that might not be totally necessary.
I am prepared.
There are reinforcements that just spawned in the top right corner of the map, but they take a long time to get anywhere close to where my units are, so we won't have to worry about them approaching us until the villagers are completely dealt with. Impressively, the enemy movements here are consistent. On top of the whole experience thing, it's also been a side challenge for me to completely route every map in the game. I always preferred strategies that are not only flashy yet with a purpose, but also ones that make sure that there are no enemies left behind. And in fact, as a small behind-the-scenes commentary for the Revelation Relay I joined, I actually went back and redid my round 2 clear 3 times, because I accidentally missed an enemy the first time and wasn't happy with my experience distribution the second time. I'd say it was worth it.
I'll back you up.
Now that the villagers are dealt with, I send Corrin to the bridge to head towards the reinforcements on this turn. Backing Corrin will be Silas, who helps Azura get over to Corrin and sing to him, allowing Corrin and Silas to fight one of the fighters on this turn. They can be reached by both a fighter and the berserker, but Corrin won't kill the fighter, and it always goes first. This makes the berserker's movement entirely consistent. The rest of my units all have to start setting up to go towards their respective camping spots. For this turn though, that means everyone will stay around the area near the bridge as 2 wyvern reinforcements will spawn from the top side of the map at the start of the next turn. I'm mainly setting up for easy dual strikes here.
I'll try not to get in your way. Everything will be all right.
Do something!
Be steadfast.
You're not alone. This one's for you.
Corrin is extremely weak now, which is exactly why I paired him with Silas. To get to safety, all Corrin has to do is pair up with Silas and get flown over to one of the forts. For Asugi and Sophie, I want to have them finish off the fighters and the berserker on the next turn. To set up for that, Sophie goes to the right of Azura and Asugi goes above Sophie. This keeps them outside of the enemy ranges, while still keeping the enemy movements completely controlled, since the enemies will be aiming to go towards them. To begin working on killing the Wyvern Lord, Kagero dual strikes with Takumi to deal 15 damage plus Poison Strike to it.
I'm coming with you. Move!
Orochi now goes adjacent to Kaden to finish it off.
Fortune favors me.
Orochi's already reached level 17 on these past 2 maps. I want to remind you that she started the last map at level 12. Subaki chips the Wyvern Rider after trading Hinoka for the Javelin. I don't want him to kill it.
Let's have that. Too slow.
All right.
Rinkah is now able to go up for the kill, making sure to switch Subaki back to the bow first.
Allow it. Don't mind if I
Phew.
do. This will be enjoyable. Well,
Here we go.
be steadfast.
Hinoka's no longer needed up here, so she starts heading south to go meet the enemies that spawn in the bottom left of the map.
This is nothing.
Joining her will be Kaden and Takumi.
We can do this, right?
Asugi moves slightly down to kill the fighter at full HP. The weaker one will be saved for Sophie.
I'll try not to get in your way. Good night.
Sweet work.
The reason why the fighter had to get weakened earlier is because Sophie can't double the fighters on her own, plus the aforementioned AI manip for enemy movements.
Great.
The Berserker has been saved for Rinkah to kill. Before that though, I need to weaken it. Silas gets to work on that by shooting it from below.
Yes.
Subaki can also take a shot at it now from the left. And Jakob weakens it further. There was part of me that wished I had bought more bronze weapons before the start of this map, as a crit here would be really bad. Luckily, that didn't happen.
I'll do my best. Take this!
Rinkah's now able to take the kill. This will get her extremely close to level 5, only really needing to deal with one more enemy before the map ends. That's not hard to accomplish.
Need some help? Me too! Thanks.
For Hinoka's group, I have to be very mindful of the enemies that these three have to deal with, as their movements can in fact be random, as they won't be able to reach the reinforcements as they spawn in. This makes me need a setup where I can safely fight the enemies on enemy phase while still making sure that I can always get back to the top of the map in a timely fashion. Luckily, I brought Hinoka and Takumi with me, and Kaden won't be a total necessity at the top. It would be nice to have him help with Orochi capturing though.
No need to worry.
Whoa. Not again.
Orochi and Kagero also head south with the help from Azura's singing. They'll be fighting the reinforcements that spawn on the middle island again.
We can do this. Good luck.
I'm with you.
To begin dealing with the reinforcements, Takumi goes at the very edge of the paladin's range. The other two can't reach him as they don't have any weapons that can fight at 2 range. Hinoka backs Takumi with the Beast Killer, and Kaden just stands out of range close by.
Ready for this?
Since Kagero's here, I have her sit on the fort for this turn and also get some healing in. My units at the top are going to set up to kill the second round of Wyvern reinforcements, again primarily setting up for dual strikes here. Azura also sings for Jakob here, as they'll be getting married in this run. They won't reach C support on this map, as I didn't really care to sing grind for Jakob, but they're both vital units, as one's a dancer and the other's a healer, so I'll be wanting to bring them for quite a few maps.
I don't take orders. Is there a plan?
Trust me.
You may rely on me.
Everything will be all right. Here I go.
See? I win.
Hinoka goes in front of Takumi to kill the Cavalier. Where the 2 Cavaliers go was a little bit random here, but the end result will always be the same since Kaden can always reach the second Cavalier.
My throne is yours.
As it should be. I won't lose.
I'll pay you back. Promise.
Corrin and Kagero move off the fort so as to not block the reinforcements by accident. Kagero is now free to kill the Dark Mage to reach her first level as a promoted unit.
We got this.
Success!
When attacking this enemy, I do make a mistake. I intended to have Kagero switch to her brass katana for a more accurate hit rate and no chance of getting a crit, but I ended up being fine without it in the end. Orochi is now free to kill the outlaw.
This is what we trained for. Open the cards!
Takumi, Hinoka, and Kaden all spend the next 2 turns heading north.
Stay focused.
Let me at him. We can do this.
Stay
Right?
strong.
My bow is yours.
The reinforcements on the island are all done too, so Corrin's group also heads north.
Ready for this?
It's now time for the final reinforcements. Asugi first chips the Wyvern Lord with Subaki's dual strike.
A hero's work is never done. Perfect time.
Need some help?
Next, Jakob chips the Wyvern Lord using Sophie's dual strike.
I'll do my best. Take this, villain!
I want to have Sophie deal the finishing blow here, but she doesn't have any strong dual strike partners to do it with. That's exactly why I put an emphasis on bringing Takumi back over here, as he's able to help deal with the finishing blow.
Good luck.
I won't stand idle.
Impressive. All right.
Unfortunately for the Wyvern Rider, I can't as easily weaken it with Silas or Subaki, as they both double it. Instead, I have Subaki use the Javelin to dual strike with Silas, allowing Rinkah to be able to kill it on the next round of combat using Silas's dual strike.
We can do this together. It's not over yet.
No need to be afraid.
We have no choice. To the rescue!
Stealing my prey? This is important.
Rinkah just achieved her goal, Salvage Blow. After each kill, this skill gives a random chance of activating to give a random weapon to you. I won't ever reset to get a weapon every kill, so I'll just make do with whatever I end up getting on my recorded clears. It's now finally time to start killing the boss. First, Asugi chips Nicole to get him to level 19, as well as apply Poison Strike and debuff to him.
We're under attack. Easy target.
Yeah.
I want to have Kagero also fight Nicole, but she first needs a weapon that has decent hit, can't crit, and won't have her fight adjacent to the boss. Jakob can help with that by trading her the Brass Shuriken.
We're under attack. Stay focused. I'll show you.
Nicole is now weak enough to be killed with Orochi. After Kaden moves adjacent to apply his support bonuses, Orochi puts an end to this very long-winded map.
It was inevitable.
Well,
That was very fun, but unfortunately our time in Paralogue land is over, as we'll be heading on to Chapter 16 in the next part. See you then.